Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Shelby on Safari, the place where we talk all things animals, pop culture, history, and more. I am your host, a la Shelby, and tonight we are going to be discussing the spooky Pokemon Phantump, which has just been released in Pokemon Go. And we're going to look into three possible influences that are of the real world that may have had a bit of inspiration for our Pokemon creators in creating this rather spooky Pokemon, which I thought would be most apt, seeing as it is the spooky season. See, I got a pumpkin just there. That certainly needs carving before the week is out. So if you have any ideas of what I should carve into that pumpkin. And when I say I carve into that pumpkin, I can hear my better half downstairs laughing right now. I mean him carve the pumpkin. In fact, one of my favorite pumpkins that he carved a few years ago was the Flash symbol, the Barry Allen logo, which, by the way, in case you missed it, one of my favorite videos, if not my favorite one so far, has been the Flash versus the Cheetah, which you can check out on this channel once this video is done. But first and foremost, y'all gotta say hi because it is a live stream, and I apologize for being MIA the past few weeks. In fact, it's been a month since the last live stream, so please drop me a comment in the comment section saying good evening, hello, so I know you're here. Or if you're watching later, like I know my friend Jody does, let me know that as well, because it's always nice to see who's popped in to say hi. So speaking of which, hello, Alice. Sheldon, indeed. Or Shelly, depending on who. Shelly with an L-E or just L-Y. I'm not sure which one I prefer. I think just Shell and then Y. I don't think the E in there because that just throws off the groove. And yes, a cat. Yes, there's plenty of cats here, most of which are downstairs trying to eat because we had salmon fish cakes for dinner. And as you know, salmon and cats, well, they like them. So there we go. But yeah, let me know what you think we should carve in that pumpkin. Anyways, focusing on tonight's live stream. So I mentioned Phantump. We're going to quickly go through what you need to know about what's happening in Pokemon Go. If you haven't already caught one, I encourage you to do so before they disappear on Halloween evening at 8 o'clock. And then we'll share a bit of insight into what exactly Phantump is and what the Pokedex entries have to say before I will introduce you to the three real-life influences, possibly, of Phantump. And then you got to tell me which one you like best. Now, you got to stay tuned to the end because the last one that I'm going to introduce you to, well, you just got to see it to believe it. I'm pretty sure most of you won't have heard of this animal. And again, it's an animal that should be like a Pokemon. I really hope they create one, just like the Palace's cat, which I introduced a while ago, the original Grumpy Cat. Oh, they got to turn it into a Pokemon. They got to. Hello, Rita. Nice to see you, Rita. Always a pleasure. Never a chore. Oh, Rita. Wow, you have upgraded your name. Fabulous. All right, friends. Well, let's get started looking into, I'll make myself quite tiny. Look, I put a black cat on for my socials. I wonder why, whether that be Maui, Kiana, or Tammy. I'm sure looking at how the head is situated, that's probably more like Tamatoa to do that. But as some of you know, Tamatoa has a white splotch on his chest, but we'll pretend. Because black cats are lucky, contrary to what some people think. Am I right? Anyways, that's where you can find me. But let's move on into this. Oh, yay! The live stream's gonna be glitchy again. It's gonna be a puzzle. You guys are gonna have to wait for it to load. I love my internet out here in the booties. All right, so firstly, while we're waiting for that to load, Phantump has been released in Pokemon Go just a few days ago, actually, with the other Pokemon, Pumpkaboo, which is fitting given as I have a pumpkin behind me. But this is Phantump, if you can wait to watch it load, and then Trevenant, its evolved form, which is frankly terrifying beyond all reason. It is quite a peculiarly scary Pokemon. I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram. A few days ago, I went out for a run in the evening, and it was getting dark, and I was in the woods near my house, and it's not particularly like spooky, but I think it's just because of the spooky season as well, where it was getting dark and the trees were all rustling, and it made me think of this Pokemon, except I didn't see any trees that had one glowing red eye, thank goodness. Or actually, I wish I did, because that would have made me run a whole of a lot faster home. That is for sure. And for those of you who will be running in the near future, best of luck. I think Rita might be running in a 10K this week. I'm so excited for you. And yeah, just think of Treviants, whatever these scary ones are, going behind you. I think you'll run a lot faster than Rita. But that is Phantump, just behind. Oh, I love how it's so glitchy here, friends. I will try to move on to Phantump and show you a picture from one of the anime so you can see they like to hang out in groups, which is one of the things I considered when looking for the real-life animal comparisons. But I think for the Pokemon Go friends who are watching, I encourage you, if you haven't already, try to find one of these guys in the wild, because the only other way to catch them is in 7-kilometer eggs until the 31st of October, which is Halloween at 8 o'clock. So try to find them in the wild. I have had reasonably good luck as the days have progressed to finding more and more in the wild. Hopefully you have caught one. And when you do catch one, I encourage you to use a pineapple berry or anything of that nature to boost how many candies that you get, because it does take 200 candies to evolve one of these guys in Pokemon Go. Whereas for those of you that have played the games, you may know that it's done by trade, which luckily in Pokemon Go, they have acknowledged and made it so that way you can either spend 200 candies or trade it. So find a friend that is relatively close by and you guys can trade without having to spend the candies. If you don't have anybody that can send you one that's particularly close by, you can also use rare candies. I don't know about you, but I've been stocking up a lot of rare candies lately and I don't have anywhere to use them. So I encourage you, use those rare candies. Let me know in the comments as well if you guys have got a Phantump already. Have you not? Is it hard to find one? Have you been trying to find one? Or maybe you don't play Pokemon Go at all. Either way, let me know, because I was really excited to get Phantump. But more importantly, the Pumpkaboo, because Pumpkaboo is adorable, because it is a pumpkin, quite literally, and it turns into a gourd. It's so funny. Anyway, it's nothing like a flying pumpkin, am I right? Nothing to get you in the spirit. So, as you guys know, I love a bit of trivia. And so instead of a gender ratio trivia question, friends, when it does load, in fact, I'll read it to you now. According to old tales, Phantump are possessed by the spirits of blank who died while lost in the forest. I know, way to take a gloomy turn. Sorry, guys. It is the spooky season. I know it's a bit tricky. So A, other Pokemon, B, children, C, trainers, or D, all of the above. So I'll read it to you guys again because the internet is being particularly pathetic. According to old tales, Phantump are possessed by the spirits of blank who died while lost in the forest. Let me know in the comments what you think. Is it A, other Pokemon who died while lost in the forest? Or B, children who died while lost in the forest? Or C, trainers who died while lost in the forest? Or do you think the Pokemon Pokedexes are quite morbid and are D, all of the above? Let me know. I'm going to drink some of my lemon squash here because literally I just finished dinner and ran up. So apologies if my teeth, you can see my dinner in my teeth and things like that. Lemon squash. I like my squash, in case you're wondering, which I'm sure you're not because you're considering this question. I like my squash quite strong, and that's because in America, we don't really have squash. Now, for my American friends, they have like concentrated fruit juice that you mix with water. Most of the time in America, at least to my knowledge of 7 years ago being in America, it comes pre-mixed, unless of course it's like Kool-Aid or in packet, anyways. And so, yeah, so you have to mix the squash with water. And one time I tried to, I didn't realize that. And I tried to serve it to someone because I thought it was pure juice, but that was not quite the case. I'm happy to say, though, that they lived to survive the tale and did not become a Phantump. Oh, Lucky Lel! Oh, how exciting! You do have a Phantump. Yay! Be sure to make it your buddy and walk with it if you don't have the ability to trade because it is 200 candies. But I'm so glad you got one. And they're so cute, aren't they? I prefer them much more to Treviant. But so Alice says A. Katie says A. Other Pokemon. So Lucky L. According to old tales, Phantump are stumps possessed by the spirits of blank who died while lost in the forest. So Alice and Katie both said A, and I am unfortunately sad to say that in fact the Pokedex entries say that Phantump stumps are possessed by the spirits of children who died while lost in the forest. Oh dear, that's a bit awkward. And there's so many different things and rumors behind this of whether it's just, spooky tales that people would tell their kids, ooh, don't get lost in the forest because the Phantump, will possess you and things like that, which seems a bit harsh. But yeah, so according to old tales, that is, I know, wow, I know, pretty hardcore. But Phantump are really sweet, and we'll see actually as we go through a bit more about Phantump before I introduce you to some real life influences, including two amazing animals. A bit more detail about Phantump and why maybe the children are linked to the Phantump, which is interesting. So really quick, Phantump is a Generation 6 Pokemon, so the Kalos region, that is both a grass and ghost type. So you can see the evidence of it being, a stump Pokemon, which is what it's called, because it has a tree with branches sticking out. You all know I love a gender ratio. Oddly enough, actually, let's go back to me while that loads. Let's see if that makes it better. Phantump have a 50-50 gender ratio. So I love a gender ratio. So that one's split down the middle. They are known as the stump Pokemon, and I know what you're thinking. Okay, this is a ghost that has a stump for a head. How much does it weigh? Well, it weighs a little bit more than Maui and Peter. It weighs 7 kilograms, and it's just under half a meter tall. So it is quite a hefty stump, one might say. And yeah, I think you all are a bit shocked as I was to hear that possessed by the children that got lost in the forest. Yeah, talk about spooky. Woo, can't get much more spookier than that. So Phantump prefer to live in abandoned forest, which is quite interesting seeing as supposedly they're possessed, or they take, children that were lost in the forest. So I don't really know if they're that abandoned, how that happens. But anyways, tangent. Now, also, some Pokedex entries have said that people, not just children, people have become lost following the voices of Phantump, which sound like the voices of children. So again, the Pokedex entry developers have put in the little sprinkle of spooky in there by saying how they sound like kids. And well, they describe it as the Phantump is just trying to make friends, which is really sad at the end of the day when you think they're just trying to have some buddies, some people to hang out with. So they try to lure people into the forest and turn them into their friend. I mentioned Trevenant in the very beginning of what they evolve into. Now, Trevenant and Phantump are the only Pokemon that are known to learn the move Forest Curse. So, that sounds quite powerful to me. I don't know about you, but quite a specific move set. And in the anime, I don't know if you guys have seen. I'm making my way through, but in the anime episode in which Ash and friends encountered Phantump, look at this. When it loads. Let's see if I jump back and forth. Thank you guys for your patience while dealing with this. Let's see if this works. Look at that! It's a shiny! They showed a shiny in the Pokemon anime. It's so exciting. So for those of you that might not know with Pokemon, so every so often, if you're very lucky, you may encounter a shiny Pokemon. Now, it's not necessarily because it sparkles, although it does now when you catch it in like Pokemon Go and stuff. But as you can see, this Phantump looks a little different than the ones that I showed you earlier. It's just a different kind of colored variation. And in fact, in a future Shelby on Safari video, I want to dive more into kind of the science of shiny Pokemon with genetics and genetic variation, because some of you may know, tigers, and there's white tigers. So one might say like, ooh, the white tiger is a shiny version of a tiger. So we'll look more into that in just a bit. And yes, as Alice says, I'd rather be shiny, like good old Tamatoa. Yes, Tammy does like shiny things, my cat. He's well named after his namesake. But yeah. And now I want to throw out one thing that's not terribly spooky about Phantump, because I feel like I've really given them a bad reputation during this time. not everything about Phantump is spooky. So in fact, notice those little leaves. Well, it would help if I had the picture up, wouldn't it, Shelby? Yeah. Notice the little leaves on Phantump. You can see, well, on this one, his stump is white and his leaves are red. Now, if these leaves are infused, it can apparently be a cure-all kind of potion / tea concoction that can cure all kinds of ailments. So even though Phantump might be spooky because it possesses children that get lost in the forest or whatever the case may be and knows the move forest curse, there are some nice things that seem to be helping Phantump's reputation, like with those leaves. And to be fair, in this anime episode, they were all really friendly. They lived in nice little groups. They weren't like trying to harm anybody or anything like that. So it makes me think of some of those other Pokemon that get really bad reputations because of the Pokedex entries, like Murkrow. But then they're actually not that bad. Yeah, don't judge a book by its cover, and don't judge a tree stump by its stump. Anyways, moving on. Oh, look, let's see. Let's look at a happy one. Oh, it's not going to load. All right. Well, friends, that is a little brief introduction into Phantump, and in true Shelby on Safari fashion, we are now going to dive into the real world of real life Pokemon in a sense, because I'm going to introduce you to 3 different things, 2 of which are animals, and 1 is a bit of history / mythology because, surprise, I like both of those things. And the first creature that is real life that is insane because of a few different things, which we'll go into. There's a pop quiz question coming up, but is this absolutely stunning animal known as the Saola. And this animal here, there's not that many pictures of some of the animals I'm going to show you, so we're going to be stuck on these pictures for a while, and you'll see why. This Saola is one of the rarest large mammals on Earth. Now, if you watched many Shelby on Safari episodes or watch National Geographic and things like that, often the IUCN Red List comes up. Now, this is it's not the definitive list, but it's one that's commonly used that helps us identify animals that are either critically endangered, threatened, near threatened. There's a huge kind of list of different categories and which ones they fit into. And sadly, guys, the Saola is critically endangered, which is at the top of the list apart from being extinct in the wild. And so therefore, this animal should be of high conservation importance. And in fact, in the links in the description down below, I'll pop a link to the species group, Save the Saola, so you can learn more and really kind of look into this impressive animal because they truly are that. Now, they are also known as the spindlehorn or also the Asian unicorn. Now, it's kind of hard to see in this picture because it is caught on a trap camera, so that's why it's not like the best. But if you look closely, you can see they actually have 2 rather impressive horns. And it was one of the things that some scientists found, which you'll actually have to tell me when they found it very shortly. They found the skull of this animal first before actually finding the animal itself, which is quite crazy. Speaking of crazy, you all know I'm quite keen on, zoos and improving the lives of animals in zoos and things like that. I'm a supporter of that. Speaking of zoos, none of Saola actually exist in captivity. They're all out in the wild. They're not in captivity whatsoever. And scientists have only documented these animals in the wild about 4 times. 4 times. That's it. That's how rare these animals are. And their horns, we should go back to their horns really quick because they are impressive. Both males and females have them, in case you're wondering. And they get to be about 20 inches in length. So, this is the Saola. Now, you might be thinking, okay, only 4 times they've been seen, none exist in captivity. Where on earth are these crazy looking animals? Well, they are found in the Annamite Mountains of Vietnam and Laos. And they actually are, their closest relatives, I'd say, are like wild cattle and buffaloes. So not quite kind of antelope and things like that. So let's see if I can, there we go. It's gonna load because it's going to. It's another pop quiz question. So what year, friends, did the Saola become known to science? So obviously, people that lived out there probably knew of the Saola before scientists, but obviously, sometimes scientists, when they want to document it, they write out some amazing notes, which we'll look into later with the other animal and things like that. But I'm curious, considering that this animal has only been documented by scientists 4 times, what year do you think that the Saola became known to scientists? So it's not loading. Option A is 1899. Option B, 1904. C, 1958. Or D, 1992. I'm glad Alice likes the new slides. I'm surprised you can see them. Hopefully you can see them because they're not loading for me. So let's try that one more time. No, it's not going to work. So what year, in the comments, let me know your choice, your selection. What year did the Saola become known to science? Is it A, 1899, B, 1904, C, 1958, or D, 1992? And yes, Alice, I appreciate that because I did put a spooky vibe to them. Nice orange and black to celebrate the spooky season and the spookiness of Phantump and some of these real-life animals that are a bit spooky. Ooh, some variety with this one. Alice says C, Rita says D, Katie says B. Lucky L, if you're still around, let us know what you think. Option A is still available. Lucky L says C. Woo! Well, it looks like Mr. Rita is correct. It's actually D. That's right, friends. The Saola was only became known to scientists in 1992. That is so recent. In fact, that's actually after I was born. Oh God, I feel so old. I was known to science before the Saola. Well, I actually wasn't known to science. Well, I guess you could say I was known to science before the Saola. Anyways, Rita's happy about that one. Well done, Rita. Oh, now it loads once we've done answering the question. It's going to be one of those nights. Let's see if I can show you another picture of the Saola. So again, because like you guys rightly have guessed, well, Rita, with it being 1992 that they were only known, there's not that many pictures. And so therefore we get some really top quality pictures if you can see it, which is a shame because now the PowerPoint's blocking. What I wanted to talk to you about is on their face. Yes, they have these impressive horns that get up to 20 inches in length, but they also have white markings on their face, which made me think of like these shiny Phantump, where they have like the cool kind of white color of their stump and like their body is like gray and black in color. So that kind of made me think of the Saola, but more importantly, the Saola, because of its evasiveness and, avoiding kind of people per se, that made me think of Phantump, where it's kind of like, ooh, the spooky, like, ooh, there's a Saola in the forest. Is there? I don't know. It just seems like something that's so elusive and so mysterious, like the Phantump. Oh, hello, John. Welcome. It's nice to see you. We're just talking about some really spooky real-life animals that are like Phantump. Let me know. I know you play Pokemon Go. Let me know if you've managed to catch one, because as you know, Phantump, you either have to get 200 candies or trade Phantump to get Trevenant. But we've just gone through the Saola, a really amazing animal that is relatively new to science, only discovered in 1992. And has beautiful horns, beautiful facial markings, which you can't see because it's still hiding behind my PowerPoint, but a very elusive deer that is sadly critically endangered because of a variety of different things. Habitat loss. Oh, there we go. Now you can kind of see their white markings. They are suffering from habitat loss, but also equally, they are often caught in snares that are set for other forest animals. And so sadly, their numbers are in decline, or at least so is believed to be in decline, enough for them to be on the IUCN Red List. But there's not much known about their population. There's still so much to be discovered. So again, in the description down below, I'll put links to some amazing sites that are helping raise awareness of these beautiful Beautiful creatures. In fact, there's another picture that's gonna, oh, there we go. It's loading. This one's a bit more clear. I bet this one's more recent because John, coincidentally enough, with the Saola, it's only really been identified and kind of captured and recorded by scientists 4 times since 1992. So not a lot of footage, not a lot to go off of for at least, living Saola. But there we go. You can kind of see their facial markings. They're so cool looking. And I love it also because, spooky season, and previously I talked about like goblin sharks and vampire bats, and actually, no, vampire squid. This week it's the ghost bat. But the spooky kind of creature this one is the Asian unicorn, it's also known as, which is odd seeing as they have 2 horns and not 1. But anyways, maybe it's because of their elusive nature. So that is the Saola, which is spelled Saola, but it's pronounced Saola instead. There's one being fed. Oh, guys, this is so silly. Oh, I gotta swap back and forth. There we go. You can see one getting fed. Look how cute it is with its little nose and the white markings on their face. They also have some glands on their face as well, which could be used either to attract, mates or mark their territory with. But the white markings on their face, scientists think could be a variety of different things, but there's still so much to be discovered, which I think is crazy given, their size, that they're a mammal, in the ocean. It's understandable that sometimes, there's so many animals left to be discovered. But the fact that this creature, a rather large mammal, was left undiscovered by scientists till 1992. What else is out there? The truth is out there, as some would say. Looks like a cow and a deer mix. It does, sort of, if you can actually see what's going on here because of my wonderfully slow internet. Anyways, we're moving on into my fabulous part of the live stream where I talk about history. Yay! If there's one thing I love more than animals, it is history. So does anybody actually know? Want to take a guess to what this is? Actually, I believe a few of you who are in the audience, I think you guys went to Pompeii, and I'm quite jealous because I think you did. Hopefully I'm jealous for good reason because Pompeii is one of my places to go to. It would be very sad, but I would be very, very, very keen to see it for myself as a amateur archaeologist, part-time. So, Hamadryads. In Greek mythology. Now, I feel goat legs. Yes, we're not talking goat legs, which is like Phantump. No. We're talking dryads. And Hamadryads. So, dryads were tree nymphs. So there's 2 different categories. We're going to focus on one of them. But dryads were tree nymphs. So they kind of were, let's say, kind of feminine spirits of nature. They're like, woohoo, I'm in nature. And they could kind of run around in the forest. They could hide. Only really Artemis sometimes could get them to come out because they trusted her. They'd be very good at hiding in the forest. They'd be very good at playing hide and seek, actually. But the thing with the dryads is they weren't actually like tied down to like one particular tree. They could move around and hang out in the forest kind of wherever they'd like to. Whereas the Hamadryads, they were tied down to a specific tree. So not just a species, there we go, a species, they were tied to one tree. So like my apple tree in the backyard, they would have to be stuck there, which actually wouldn't be a bad place to be stuck because when it's nice and lovely out there, Maui goes and sleeps out there, the tortoises, bearded dragons, they enjoy it outside. So that wouldn't be a bad place for Hamadryads to be tied down to that apple tree. But anyways, the point is that dryads, they could run around, but the Hamadryads were stuck in one spot with one tree, if I can't clarify that enough. Now, these guys were often linked to either oak or poplar trees. So I'm not sure, bringing it back to the Pokemon world, what kind of tree Phantump stump is, if it's been that much discussed. And is that Rita in the picture? Now, Katie. But Hamadryads were unique in the sense that their fates were often shortened by mortals. So when we hear like Greek mythology, and some of the amazing, crazy tales that happen there. For those that are divine in nature, some of the gods and other creatures, they had quite long lifespans, and they weren't really impacted by the acts of mortals. Whereas the Hamadryads, if their tree was destroyed, if their apple tree out the back was destroyed, they would be too. Their life would be shortened because they were tied to it. And so thus they required a bit more assistance from some of the other deities, who then would severely punish and put fear into the hearts of mortals to take things seriously and not just go around chopping down trees, which I guess is a good lesson for us to learn still in the modern day. So Greek loggers were typically then very respectful of kind of which trees they chopped down, and if they did have to chop one down, to pay respects and, bring little sacrifices in order to kind of pacify the gods and possibly any spirits that they might have harmed. And so just kind of some food for thought, because I think with the Hamadryads, we saw Phantump, being possessed by the spirits of children that got lost in the woods, according to old tales. John, you missed that bit. It got quite morbid quite quickly with the Pokedex entries. But Hamadryads made me think of Phantump because, if it is indeed a spirit of a human, whether it be kid or someone that got lost in the woods, the Hamadryads, they too, not necessarily a spirit, but a being that was a part of the tree as well. And it's more a part of the tree rather than a stump of the tree, whereas in Phantump it's literally just a stump, as we saw in pictures, but still interesting nonetheless. Because I think in Greek mythology we focus a lot more on the gods and, centaurs and things like that, and I just found it interesting with the Hamadryads. So interestingly enough, for those of you that are into kind of wands and things like that, actually, no, I was going to talk about Harry Potter wands, but we'll talk more Harry Potter in a future live stream. I would want to ask you guys, if you had to be kind of associated with the tree and you had to hang out with the tree and become a Hamadryad, what kind of tree would you want to be associated with? I know straight off the bat, I would want to be a palm tree. And be by the ocean and always have the salty sea air blowing on my face, even if it was windy and stuff. That would be nice. But yeah, I would be a palm tree. Let me know in the comments what tree you would want to be. But now here comes the fun time of which I pronounce names horribly wrong, because there are apparently at least 8 different Hamadryads that were named and associated to a species of tree. So we had Karya, which was associated with either walnut or hazelnut. Balanos, which was associated with oak. Crania, dogwood. And apologies if I am saying these wrong. In fact, I know I'm saying them wrong, so I apologize. Moria, mulberry. Agageros, which was black poplar. Telia, elm. Ampelos, vines. That would be nice to be a part of a grapevine as well. You'd hear a lot of things. Psyche was for fig. So there we go. A few different tree species. Let me know in the comments which tree species you would want to be if you had to be associated with the tree. It may or may not be your wand, your wood wand. I think mine was, when I did my test on Pottermore, I think mine was an ash tree, but I would want to be a palm tree. I know that probably wouldn't make good wand wood, but I'd have to ask Ollivander. Dogwood. Yeah, you'd go for dogwood. Excellent, excellent. Oh, funny name, but yes, let me know. Oh yeah, here's another picture, so we don't look at poor Rita being on there. Here's another one of an artistic interpretation of a Hamadryas. It's not going to load. But anyways, the chick is a part of the tree. Like, she's covered in leaves. She has birds hanging out and looks like her hair is part of the tree. Pretty trippy, pretty trippy. Ooh, Diana, you would say a beech tree. Ooh, good choice, good choice. And Katie would go for a vine. Very good. Rita would go for an apple tree, which, yes, Rita, I can see why, because that would probably mean those who are around you would get lots of yummy apple crumbles and apple desserts, which, by the way, I have a lovely apple sponge cake waiting for me after this live stream, which I'm so excited for. But yes, it's not going to load. I'm so sorry, guys. That is taking so long to load the pictures. I'm going to have to skip forward, though, to the next one because it's another quiz question. I feel like I should have like a little ding or something, or a little bell. Ooh, I do have a bell, but that's what we trained our cats to come to when they were little, and they associated it with food. So I could ring it. They probably would still come, but that would probably be tricky. But anyways, buzz, 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 pop quiz question. All right, so in P.L. Travers' Mary Poppins, Jane and Michael meet Hamadryad at the zoo. What is he? Is he A, a butterfly, B, a baboon, or C, a king cobra? So yes, P.L. Travers, in the book, not the movie, in the book, Mary Poppins, the children Jane and Michael meet Hamadryad at the zoo. What is he? Let me know in the comments what you think. Is he A, a butterfly, B, a baboon, or C, a king cobra? I wonder if in the book they say specifically London Zoo. Because, like, I'm not going to lie, when I worked at London Zoo, I was so stoked that I worked at London Zoo. And I know, Harry Potter's not real, but still, visiting the reptile house where, in my mind, when I was a kid reading, Harry Potter went to London Zoo and found out he was a Parseltongue, but he didn't find out he was a Parseltongue because he didn't know what a Parseltongue was. But really, it was just so exciting. Terribly exciting. But I don't know if in P.L. Travers, if they say in her book, if they say it's London Zoo. I imagine it would be London Zoo. I'd be disappointed. All right, let's see. Ooh, Alice says B, Rita says C, Katie B, Lucky L says B. Y'all say it's baboon. Interesting choices. Well, guys, Mary Poppins brought Jane and Michael to the zoo and met Hamadryads, and he was not a butterfly. He was not a baboon, but indeed he was a king cobra. Yep, the snake. He was the snake, which is quite crazy when you think like Mary Poppins. You think, oh, it'd be more fun, but no, it was a king cobra. Oh, she sounds like my kind of nanny. Gee whiz, practically perfect in every way, literally bringing the kids to meet a king cobra. But well done, though, for you guys that selected a few of the other answers. You're not entirely wrong. I'm being very diplomatic here. Because, in fact, Hamadryads, given what we know about their association with trees and things like that, scientists use Hamadryads for many different animals' scientific names, and it would often be assumed that it was kind of given to them because of their arboreal nature being associated with trees and climbing and things like that. So interesting that many of you said baboon. There actually is a baboon species called the Hamadryas baboon, which it is going to load because there we go. It can do it. But ironically, given that Hamadryas is linked to trees, it's kind of a misnomer because the Hamadryas baboon is ironically one of the least arboreal monkey species. And so it's kind of like, well, why were they called Hamadryas? But it's actually probably because they were one of the most common species in Hellenic lands, so that of kind of the Greeks. So they would be the Greeks would be very, these monkeys, I can talk. These monkeys would be very common to the Greeks, so probably hence why they were called Hamadryas baboons rather than tree baboons, because the association, even though they're not really associated with trees. But anyways, quite interesting, the Hamadryas baboon. Then, for those of you that said butterfly, which I don't think many of you said butterfly, but here we go. Here's the butterfly. 10 points to the first person who can say why this would be associated with a tree. It's because it looks like the darn tootin' tree. So yes, it is the Hamadryads is the generic name of the cracker butterfly, this is one species of it, and it commonly camouflages itself on trees, like Exhibit A. And so yes, 10 points to Gryffindor or Ravenclaw or Hufflepuff or Slytherin for guessing that one, because yeah, look at that camouflage. That is crazy cool. So no wonder they thought of Hamadryads because of this association of blending in with the trees, just like how it appears that some feminine, nature spirit kind of blends in with the trees, just like these guys do. Now, for the king cobra, for those that are wondering, because yes, Mary Poppins bringing children to speak and meet with Hamadryads, the king cobra, might seem a bit odd. The king cobra's original scientific name was Hamadryads, but it now has such been changed, and the king cobra isn't really that much arboreal, but yes, it's still interesting. And I guess the interesting thing is to discuss that they have changed over time, the scientific names, and it's not kind of set in stone. But yes, we do prefer to use scientific names so that way people can know what we're talking about, no matter what language we're speaking, and it's often based in Latin. But yes, the scientific names can change, a la the king cobra. Yes. Oh, Lucky L's commenting on how beautiful this butterfly is. Isn't it just so lovely? There's so many other different species, so I encourage you to look up the cracker butterfly and see just the different colorations that they come in. But this one was particularly stunning because of how well it blended with the leaves. But yes, quite stunning. So now mid break. Oh, look, of course, the one prompting where you can find me on social media loads quite quickly, but the cool ones of all the animals don't. I encourage you guys, if you don't already, be sure to follow myself on Instagram, because that's where I post a lot of updates, including kind of why I've been a bit quiet lately, because I got a new job. Which is really exciting, but it is taking a lot of time. But still, I'm here, and so I appreciate your patience. And in fact, I did post on Instagram a few weeks ago, would you guys be interested in a live? And quite a few of you said yes. And so I was like, well, time to make it happen. No time like the present, right? And so therefore, here we are. So you can stay up to date and let me know. See all the adventures I get on when I go swim in the ocean like a crazy person with just my swimsuit and no wetsuit. All the zoos that I go to and things like that. So be sure to follow me there. I occasionally go on Clubhouse now, not as frequently as I used to. Not really on Twitter. Not really on Facebook. So follow me on Instagram. But I wanted to have 4 because it looks a lot nicer than just here I am on Instagram. And there's the shout out to the cat, but you can't even see the darn cat. Oh yeah. I love the internet sometimes. Alrighty, friends. Well, we are getting through some crazy creatures, a crazy animal / mythological creature. But last and certainly not least is probably the craziest of all, a possible influence on the spooky Pokemon Phantump. So earlier in the live stream, we discussed Phantump, and in Phantump Pokemon Go, what you need to get this Pokemon, whether you catch it in the wild or hatch it in an egg. Then I introduced you to the Saola, a beautiful, beautiful animal that is critically endangered and not really much known about. Not that many pictures of them either, but still mysterious and spooky because they lurk in the forest of Vietnam and Laos, and particularly one mountain location as well. And then the Hamadryads, we went through the mythological creature from the Greeks' friends, where they are literally kind of a forest spirit blended in with one tree specifically, not that they could roam around. And so very reminiscent of Phantump with the spirit and the tree association. But last and certainly not least is this cool looking creature, which will load now. Fabulous. The Colugo. Wowee. This animal, guys, is crazy. It's also known as the flying lemur, which again is a misnomer because it indeed does not fly, and it is certainly not a lemur. In fact, they glide. But when I say glide, I don't just mean falling with style. They can glide for ages. So there are two living species of Colugos today. They are both found in Southeast Asia. Now, one of the species is called the Sunda Colugo, and they are found from Vietnam to Indonesia. The other Colugo is the Philippine Colugo, and they are found in the southern Philippines. So two different species, but still impressive nonetheless. Now, these guys, while they look cute and they look crazy with their crazy looking eyes, they are about the size of Maui. About the size of a house cat. Pretty big. I'd say maybe smaller than Maui, because Maui's quite a hefty cat. I didn't say that to Maui. Probably more like Kiana size, but still, it's hefty looking thing. So, when we discuss gliding, in fact, let me pull up another picture. Look at the cute little faces. I love their eyes. Their eyes, as we'll see, because they're nocturnal, their eyes are one of the things that made me think of Phantump. But to pop on over to the gliding side of things, because when we see kind of Phantump, we didn't see any video of Phantump, but in the anime, it is gliding, kind of like, you know, a spooky ghost would. And so hence, I thought we'd talk about some gliding mammals. So there are roughly 60 mammals that can glide, and the Colugo is the master of them all. Like, if we had the Animal Olympics, the Colugo would win in the gliding competition, for sure. One was recorded at gliding 145 meters. Whoa, that is almost just shy of the length of gliding, not one, not two, but 3 Olympic-sized swimming pools. That is one long glide. In comparison to like the next closest gliding mammal that can get even close to the Colugo is the northern flying squirrel. And when I say close, it's not that close. It's they can go just over 90 meters in gliding power compared to, well, almost 145, just about 145 meters. That's quite the difference. So the Colugo definitely goes far. And I think we need to consider also, with the fact that they can go so far, is the fact to glide, you need to climb. And these guys, if you can find kind of footage of it, in fact, in the description down below, I'll put a quick little video from National Geographic in which they attached the camera to the back of one. So then you could go along for the glide with them. And in the beginning of the footage, it's quite jerky because the Colugo is hopping up the tree to get to some quite serious height. So then they can glide for so long. And when they do glide, the footage is nuts because you are soaring through the trees with the Colugo. It's amazing. But I feel, since we're talking of gliding, I should probably show you a picture of what these guys look like in flight. Because you might think, oh, they just have wings. No. No. They have something far, far cooler. Look at this when it loads. Look at that membrane, skin, whatever you want to call it. Jiminy Crickets. Talk about spooky, right? Like, whoa, what is that? Some kind of crazy parachute? No, guys, that is a Colugo. Such a cool animal that I bet you probably didn't hear of before tonight. At least I hope not. I hope that's the point of like Shelby on Safari, really, is to use Pokemon and other pop culture things to introduce you to some crazy cool animals that we share this planet with, like the Colugo. So there it is in midair, soaring, gliding, and it does certainly look crazy. In fact, that leads me to my last pop quiz question. What is the gliding skin of Colugos called? Is it A, gross, B, patagium, C, wings, or D, cape? So it's not going to load, but that's fine. So yeah, what is the gliding skin of Colugos called? And I'll actually say the gliding skin is for Colugos, but also for all kind of gliding mammals. This term is used to refer to whatever kind of animal has this gliding skin, really. Is it A, gross, B, patagium, C, wings, or D, cape? Let me know what you think. D. Diana, indeed. I'm chuffed to hear you say that. All kinds of different animals. Indeed, nature is amazing, and especially some of these adaptations that these animals have to survive are absolutely nuts, like the Cologos. So we got a lot of D's. Katie, Alice, and Lucky L say D, cape. The gliding skin, what is it called? Rita, you've been like 2 for 2, mate. Are you going to be 3 for 3? I'm waiting on you. I'm waiting on you to answer, Rita. And anyone else as well. If you want to comment and let me know, because it'll be curious to see. A, gross. I threw that one in there. It's not A because I just thought I'd be cheeky. B, patagium. C, wings. Or D, cape. Ooh, that is tardy. I made that really tardy. Also, if you have any ideas for what we should carve into the pumpkin, let me know. I could try to challenge a Colugo. That would be cool. Ooh, Diana says B. Very good, very good. Well, Rita, it is indeed B. Diana, you are correct with B, patagium. That is what the gliding skin is called. And like I said, it's not just for Cologos. It is for all kind of gliding mammals. And it is one intense kind of membrane structure. So I'm going to try to pull up one more picture that you guys can see of this adorable animal while we wrap up for this evening's live stream. Before you guys tell me which one you think is most like Phantump, another spooky aspect of the Cologos is, they have the crazy membrane, that the patagium that spreads out to help them glide. But what do you think they would eat? You would think, actually, okay, well, I first thought, oh, well, they live in the trees and they glide. They probably need, fruit and things like that, some nice high sugar. No, these guys eat leaves, which made me think, oh dear, if you're a Phantump, you better watch out, because those leaves, like we saw in Phantump, if they're infused into like a tea thing, they can be all curing and, super powerful. And so watch out, Phantump, for the Cologos. Especially that they can glide. They can glide. I'm picturing in my mind a Phantump and then a Cologos gliding after a Phantump to eat its leaves. That's where my mind is going. Oh my goodness, it's been a long day. Now, with regards to the Cologos, again, kind of the spooky animals, we saw earlier that the Saola was only only made known to science in 1992, whereas the Cologos, they have a very different story. They were first known to scientists in 1758, so way, way before the Saola. And these guys actually made an appearance in the Malay archipelago, which was the text written by the famous naturalist of England, Alfred Russel Wallace. There we go. I almost said Alfred Wallace. I forgot the Russell part. Oh dear. And this was back in 1869. And so he mentions their impressive kind of membrane structure. And so I think that's really cool, being able to see the Cologos being mentioned in that text. So these guys are quite weird. Like I mentioned, not terribly spooky, apart from their cool eyes, which, are huge and red, kind of like Phantumps. But they, as I said, they prefer to eat leaves rather than fruit. They lick their eyeballs. They do lots of cool stuff, including they communicate with ultrasound, even though they have good vision. Like, why not? Why not communicate with ultrasound? Why not? So with these red eyes, kind of the last little bit, that reminds me of Phantump. Because they are nocturnal, they have excellent night vision, and these eyes, rather big, give them great depth perception, which comes in handy when they are gliding through the trees of the forest, especially at night. And so I think you guys might know which animal or influence out of the three I would choose to be most like Phantump, that possibly influenced our Pokemon friend creators. But let me know in the comments down below what you think. Is it the ever elusive Saola, the Asian unicorn, the cool looking deer that had the 2 horns that actually evaded scientists up until relatively recently? Or was it the Hamadryads, where it's literally kind of a spirit, feminine spirit, that is linked to one specific tree? that can be quite spooky indeed, especially with the fact that if you chop down or harm that particular tree, there goes the Hamadryads as well? Or would it be the Colugo, this impressive flying lemur, which is not a flying lemur, but a relatively amazing animal that can glide to almost 145, well, can glide to 145 meters, which is about 3 Olympic-sized swimming pools in length. That is a lot of gliding. Which of the three do you think is most like Phantump, the spooky Pokemon that we met earlier that is now in Pokemon Go? Let me know which one you think. Oh, hello, Sean. Hello. You missed it. We got spooky today. Sean, do let me know what you think we should carve into the pumpkin. Do you think we should carve Welsh cakes into the pumpkin? Actually, I'd be curious. Do you eat Welsh cakes at Halloween? Or is there a particular, like, amazing Welsh dish that you would eat at Halloween? Or are Welsh cakes good all year round? And are Welsh cakes, are you going to kick me out of Wales? Like I know some people are, if I have Welsh cakes with chocolate chips again. So many questions for you, Sean. So many questions. But first, let me know which animal you think is most like Phantump. Oh, what a wonderful time joining with some friends. Diana, Lucky L, Rita, Katie, Alice, Sean. It's so nice to see you. John, if you're still here. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Shoddy Welsh cakes all year round. I don't blame you. Although I don't like raisins. That's why I had the chocolate chip ones. So I'm sorry, but they were delicious, especially warmed up. They were lovely. Lucky L says that the tree is like Phantump. That sounds spooky. Yeah, right? Although I think depending on what tree we choose, it probably could be spookier than others. Diana says she missed the first bit of the live stream, but you would go for the second one. Yeah, because the evolution of Phantump makes sense where it does evolve into Trevenant and it is quite, more anthropomorphic with the arms and the legs and things like that, and definitely can be quite scary, like a vengeful tree protecting the forest. And yeah, hopefully you guys have actually got your scary tree Pokemon, Trevenant. If you haven't already, I encourage you trade a Phantump with a friend in Pokemon Go, or just save up a bucket load of candies, 200 to be precise, to evolve your Phantump. But yeah, I think the Saola was pretty cool. I think I just really wanted to introduce you to the Saola because it's an animal that's not often talked about that much, but we should, especially because it's critically endangered and really unique and amazing. And then Hamadryads, well, like Lucky L and Diana have said, quite a bit more like Phantump, hence the spooky kind of spirit. But then the Colugo, the crazy gliding mammal that can go super far, big red eyes, crazy looking cool, like, I'd love to see one in the wild. I bet that would be so cool. And unfortunately, I didn't find a good picture, but I encourage you, if you think they're cool, check out when they have babies, because the babies hang on to them for like 6 months while they're weaning. And so the mama Colugo glides with the babies hanging on to her as well. Like, how crazy is that? Indeed, that is spooky. And Alice says buffering. Oh dear. I know my internet has been particularly spooky this evening. Maybe I have some Phantumps causing trouble in my house. I kid. That's probably just Maui. But anyways, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me this evening. I encourage you, if you haven't already, click to join the safari, to subscribe. I probably should have said that earlier. I'm on my way to 1,000 subscribers, and I hope to get there by the end of this year, which is really exciting. So if you know anybody that likes animals and pop culture, like we talked about tonight, encourage them to join. Share this page with a friend. And hopefully I'll see you guys over on Instagram, where I'll be sharing more insight into behind the scenes and what's going on, but I'll also be sharing heads up as to when I'll be doing more live streams. But until then, I will see you guys on Friday evening as we will learn more about the ghost bat, the last spooky themed episode before we move on to a couple of other exciting videos that I have lined up to finish this out through the rest of the year. But again, thank you so much for joining the safari, spending time with me. It was lovely to get to chat with you guys once again. But I will see you all in the next video, which I encourage you, if you didn't see some of the other Pokemon videos, check those out. I have a whole playlist dedicated to Pokemon animal comparisons. So go check that out. Thank you so much. I will see you guys on Friday. Bye, Lucky L. Bye, Diana. Bye, John. Bye, Rita. Bye, Katie. Bye, Alice. And bye, everybody else. Adios, amigos.